Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome. Get everybody in here. Happy Thursday.
Hey,
Hello.
lady. Hi.
How are
I'm
you?
camera scary today.
That's a good term. Well, I was sitting here. I've been having my sunglasses on my head, and I went to go take them off, and I'm like, look at this crazy hair. I got
Yeah, right. Like you ever have a bad hair day.
wearing my head. Well, I tried to make it very extra voluminous today because I had to shoot some content, and I
Yeah.
have so much like voluminous in my hair that it's just like I could go like this in my hair, like stay.
Oh, if I could have your hair on your worst day, I would be
You're
so
so
happy.
sweet. You have beautiful hair too.
Oh, you're sweet. I've
I
missed you. I'm
miss
excited
you
about
too.
this call.
This is going to
I
be fun.
know.
This is going to be
Yes.
fun, pour into,
Timely.
create financial awareness. And we're going to do
Yeah.
like this a two-step series, actually. I'll talk about that here in a minute.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can anybody see or hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I know. That may be just fine. How do I make myself see?
I think you are on twice, Mary,
Oh,
which is
probably.
making you vibrate your noise.
Okay. You want me to sign out of this one? Oh, I hear
Yeah,
it.
sign out of one. Miss Kayla. We'll wait for her to come back. Hello, Miss Kayla. Hello, Heather. Hello, Patricia, Mary,
Hi.
Megan, Joyce, Miss Joyce. Hello, Heather. We're having some technical difficulties, so we're waiting on a few people to sign back in. I would love for you all to come off your, like, show us what you look like today.
Sorry, I'm at the beach.
Well, good for you, homegirl.
I know it's my only took 2 weeks of vacation this year, and I'm trying to turn it around. How do you turn this? Oh, here we go. And
Okay,
this is
coming
my
back.
second. This is my second week. Oh, it's
That's
blurred.
beautiful.
I
Yay.
don't know
And
how to
you're with
get
the
off
kiddos.
blurred.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, my little
Yay.
notepad.
Perfect. Well, we're
Got to
going to
make
get
it work.
started. Good. I'm grateful that you're enjoying some downtime. It's good for your soul. We are going to get started. Here's a few more people rolling in. Maybe I'll wait another minute or two.
Amber, am I still?
You are still echoing,
I'll just
but it's okay. If you stay muted, you shouldn't echo. But for whatever reason, you're in here twice. There you go. You'll be good now. We won't hear you. Okay. Hello, Miss Ashley. She's connecting to Otto. Hello, Ashley. Okay, we are going to dive into this. This is going to be a two-step series. I was getting ready to just do an all-in-one shebang, and then I was talking with some girls on my team yesterday, and I'm like, I really need to separate this out so it's not too much. Who here, by a raise of hands or in the chat, loves to talk about their finances? Nobody, right? Who here, either by a raise of hands or in the chat, who here has a P&L statement and knows what their profitability percentage looks like? It's a thing. And when I first started out in the business, all I did was look at my bank account and say, if there's money in there, I'm doing good. Right? I mean, I've been there before. You only live that way till like the IRS comes and says you owe this much in taxes, and the amount you owe in taxes, you don't even have in your bank account. And that makes you look up and say, okay, I got to be more financially responsible. I got to make better decisions. And I honestly, if you're scaling a business and growing a business, you need to know what your profitability looks like at least once a quarter. If you're scaling a business on a higher level, it needs to be monthly. So we're going to talk about today why a profit and loss statement, what's important, what should your expenses, operating expenses, what should your profit look like pre-tax? We're going to talk about taxes a little bit. We're actually going to dive into a profit and loss template. And anybody on here, you can scan the QR code, go to it, download it, and really start plugging your own numbers into a profit and loss statement. And then we're also going to speak a little bit higher level. You have a business, it's established, you don't have a P&L, you need to create one. We're going to talk about building a financial team around you to help you be more financially responsible. And please know I've lived in every bucket. I've lived in flying by the seat of my pants, get married, don't have enough money to pay my taxes, to not even making money and being in the negative in this business, to growing a business, scaling a business, using my P&L as a red light, green light, to scaling to the next level and building other businesses. For those of you that know me know this, but for those of you that don't know me, I not only do this for my real estate business, but I also help my husband do this for his business. And his business is more, I have inventory, I have accounts payable, I have receivables, I have a lot more assets. We have inventory, which is an asset in and of itself. It's so high level. So I know there are some small business owners on here. I'm going to speak to you in that realm too. Of what are the things you need to do? How can you help save money for taxes? What does your P&L need to look like? And every business is different. I'm going to say this out loud because there's a lot of women on here. And this is just like a bomb, not a jab at men. But a woman's P&L is probably going to look a lot different than a man's P&L. And I only know this because I live it in my life. As women, especially if you have children, you have to leverage more stuff than a man does. So your expenses are going to look a little bit different. You know, cleaning, if you have somebody help do laundry, if you have childcare, there are things that are going to look a little bit different on your P&L versus a man's. And it should, and it's reality. I say that just to open the door to say, you can never compare your P&L to another business P&L. Everybody's profitability margins are going to be different. I would really, if you're a small business owner, research what should your profitability percentage be. I'm going to go over the real estate realm and really just probably in general today too. We're going to dive right on in. Okay. Everybody can see my screen okay? Okay, so what is GCI versus profit? GCI, essentially, in any business, is your gross commission or your gross income that you're bringing in. When you're a new business, this is the number that makes your ego feel good. I did $100,000 in GCI this year. I did $200,000 in GCI or income. I did $500,000. I did $1 million, whatever it looks like. It's what makes you feel good, but it doesn't take into consideration what does it cost me to run my business? What is my payroll look like? What do my expenses look like? What is my tax liability going to be? So it looks good. It feels good to talk that big number, but what really matters and what the biggest flex is the profitability. What matters most is what you are putting in your pocket at the end of the year. And that's what we're going to talk about today and give you really goals. I think what most people look at is your profit and loss. You look at it after the activities happened. You really should be using it as a planning tool. And Mary Carroll, who's my director of operations, and I do this with Stephen as well, we sit down in the fourth quarter and say, what do we want our business to look like next year? So if you're an individual agent, if you're an agent on a team, you need to be asking yourself, what do I want my production to look like next year? What do I want my income to look like next year? And start there. If you're a business owner, you need to say, I want to do this much in income, which is essentially a lot of people call it revenue. This is what I want my gross revenue to look like next year. Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? Is it $5 million? Whatever it looks like, you need to use your profit and loss template as almost a budget that you lean into and hold yourself accountable to. And the reason why I say that is because if you don't use it as a budgeting tool that you hold yourself accountable to, you're just floating by the seat of your pants and not holding yourself accountable to the budget. And you don't really know, like, am I over budget? Am I under budget? Should I be playing red light? Should I be playing green light? So it should almost be essentially an accountability place that you go to. Like, I go to mine on a monthly basis and say, okay, Are we profitable? Are we not profitable? Are we in the red? Are we in the green? If we're in the green at a certain level, that means that's great. We need to pour that money back into the business in the right bucket to help grow our business. And sometimes that means we have so much green over here for consecutive months. That gives me the okay to hire a new person. But if I'm only in the green a month, I'm not bringing on a new person because our business isn't ready for it. So it allows you to make those type of decisions. Do I spend more money on content because it's giving me a return? Do I hire somebody? Do I buy a building? Do I buy more inventory? Whatever it is, whatever your scalable vision looks like, your P&L should be telling you whether or not you should do it. Not your emotions, not your flesh, not your ego. If you want to run your business with confidence, you need to be running a P&L and making your decisions based upon what your P&L is telling you to do. Because I see it every day. My husband helps people build gyms all over the world. They come to us, they buy $300,000 to $400,000 worth of gym equipment. They're signing a lease that's $40,000 a month, and they're going to charge $30 a month in a gym membership. They're not even speculating what their budget should look like. And Stephen will ask them, how many members do you have to get to even be at your break even? They're putting themselves out of business before they ever go into business. As a real estate agent, you can do the exact same thing. I see it all the time, and we've all been there. So I'm not calling anybody out, but we're a new agent. The first thing we want to do is we want to buy signs. We want to order business cards. We want to do all the fun, fancy things. I promise you this business card has never gotten me any business, but it's like we want to spend all the money on the fun stuff. That stuff doesn't always help you grow your business. Yes, it's marketing, but I promise you, if you just like picked up the phone and made phone calls, you're going to make a lot more money off of that than this business card. You know, so it's you have to make and have a perspective of what am I going to spend my money on or my time that's going to give me a return that helps me grow and become successful. So on a monthly basis, we sit down, we look at our P&L, we decide, are we playing red light, green light? It's accountability for us. It tells us where we're at, what we need to do. And also, and this is going to be the hugest thing I dive into, it helps us prepare for taxes. How many of you pay quarterly taxes? How many of you know if you don't pay quarterly taxes about how much you're going to owe at the end of the year and you have that money sitting in a bank account right now? Am I giving anybody a heart attack by just asking these questions? Because if you would ask me these questions when I first started out, I was like, oh, I got 50,000 in my bank account, not realizing 35 of it or 40,000 of it's taxes. You know, you just don't know until you figure it out on your own. And I love doing this class because I don't want you to figure out the hard way like I did. I want you to know that you can prepare instead of react, which causes a lot less stress. So looking at a profit and loss, this is just a general rule of thumb for any individual real estate agent, any agent on a team, and essentially any business owner. If you are to budget yourself in this fashion, you're going to stay profitable, you're going to grow, you're going to scale your business to a higher level. Operating expenses, which is the cost of running the business, whether a transaction happens or not. So in the real estate world, cost of sales to us, cost of running, whether or not a transaction occurs. Operating expenses to us in our world are like the rent for the building, paying your cell phone, those things, buying paper for the printer, the things that help support your business. And then you have a cost of sale, which is essentially payable whenever you make a sale, but that's the cost of acquiring revenue. So for us in real estate, we have to pay a split to our brokerage. We have to pay air emission insurance. If you're on a team, cost of sale to you is also what are you paying the team. And then you have your net profit, which after operating expenses and the cost of sale is your goal for your net income. This is pre-tax. This does not take into consideration taxes. This is also still a feel-good number. I don't care what my net profit is. I want to know what is the amount of money I have in my bank account after I pay my taxes. That's the number I try to always focus on. But net profit gets you a little bit closer there. So just remember these numbers: 30% in operating expenses, 30% in cost of sale, a goal of 40% net profit. I promise you, smaller businesses, that should honestly be your goal. But as you grow and scale, I promise you, this net income percentage almost always goes down. We sold a house to one of the local Chick-fil-A owners. And who would love to take a guess, either come off mute or put it in the group chat? What do you think a Chick-fil-A profitability is? A percentage. I mean, they look like they're killing it all the time, right? Anybody want to make a stab at it? 35%? Nope. 30, yeah. 6%. But it's 6% of a big old number, y'all. But I promise you, I've seen it. Even in real estate, I'm going to show you here in a minute. The larger you get, the smaller your profit percentage becomes because it just costs more to operate. Think about how many employees does Chick-fil-A have versus like a McDonald's or somewhere else? I mean, Chick-fil-A has 30 people working in one shift, it feels like, right? Because the level of service, the level of expectation. But if you look probably at what the profitability is overall, I would rather have 6% of $10 million than 50% of one. And that's how you have to think. As a business owner, as you scale, as you grow, it's okay to take a lower percentage. You need to look at the overall. So I'm going to run you through this simple little math. If you're an individual agent, if you're an individual business owner, this is almost how you need to operate yourself if you're not doing a P&L. This, to me, was my accountability before I could afford a bookkeeper to do my P&L for me every single month. So imagine 100% of your income coming in. So we're just going to use a number, $10,000. So you have $10,000 coming in. You run that through an LLC account of some capacity. It should never come to you personally. And I'm not going to get into tax things at a too high of a level. But when you pay yourself through an LLC and your overall revenue comes to the LLC, you are not paying your full self-employment tax on that full amount. You're only going to start paying it on what you distribute and what you pay yourself on payroll taxes. So you take this $10,000. If you only want your expenses to be 30%, you only leave 30% in there. Does that make sense? So you have $7,000 left. So of that 70%, which is the $7,000, whatever your tax bracket is, you put 40%, 20%, whatever that looks like, into your tax account, which is also a high yield money market account that's earning you interest. Our high yield money market account right now is making us 5 to 6%. If you just have that sit in your bank account, you're making 0. And then the additional 60% goes to our personal account. This is how I set myself up before I put myself on payroll, before I started doing a P&L. This held me accountable to keep my expenses at 30%. That's one way to keep yourself accountable, whether you're a small business, whether you're a real estate agent, as an individual agent on a team. This is how I would operate myself. A, it disciplines you to save for taxes. B, you should put your money in a money market account, not just a normal bank account, a money market account earning you interest on your tax money. And this really just allows you to lead with more confidence and make you realize like you're profitable or not. There's some months, I mean, I still live like this. I do a P&L, but we still take the money out of the accounts and do it like this too. It makes me realize if we're overspending or underspending, or if we're really doing well or doing not well. And it always helps keep me balanced and centered, because sometimes even in a month, the income level fluctuates. So it helps me make more real life in time decisions. So the bank accounts that you need to set up are you need to get an LLC, you need to get incorporated through the Secretary of State, get an attorney to draft off your articles of incorporation. Once you have all that, once you have a tax ID, you set up an LLC account at the bank. All of your income flows through that LLC. A, for protection, B, for tax purposes. There's a billion other reasons. And then your money goes into that personal bank account when you go to pay yourself through payroll and or a profit distribution. And then your money market account is where you live and pour in money for your taxes. Heather said, how did you find the high interest? Did you go through your own bank? Banks have them, but they're usually a lot less, like 2%. Our investment company is who got us set up with our high yield money market accounts. And essentially it's like cash. So we not only put our tax money in there, any extra cash, we have parameters where we only have a certain amount in our bank accounts, and anything that's over that on a quarterly basis, we deposit it into that money market account too. And then that money is always making us money versus just sitting in our bank account, stroking our ego, making it feel good to log in and see all that money sitting in our bank account. Our money's actually working for us. And I can connect you to our company too that does that for us. So if you have a team, or what I would say a larger business, and you've scaled your business up, your profit margin is probably only going to be 30 to 40%, where like an individual person's margin is going to be a little bit higher, but it's higher percentage, but usually a lower number. So in our world, all income coming in, commissions shared from other team members, my team commissions, as a business owner, all of your revenue is your income. Your target profit margin should be 30 to 40%. Expenses, which increase for a team to cover salaries, tools, larger marketing efforts. The goal of a team or a business scaling is really to leverage the team to handle higher transaction volume while still staying profitable. And it allows you to scale and grow your business so you can focus on higher level tasks that help you grow your business. And if you're running a business and or you're on a real estate team as a team leader, you also should be paying yourself the same split as if you were paying an agent on your team. This is something I just started doing. You will never be able to step out of that business if you're not operating as if you were an agent in that business. So if you're even like my husband, Steven, he's in a business where he has inventory, he has salespeople. I told him, leave the money in the bank account and start paying yourself whatever commission you would earn. Because if you don't, and if you don't start scaling your business like that, it's going to be so hard for you to step out of the business. And it will skew what your actual profit is. Because you, the business owner, should be paid as the business owner. If one day ever he wants to retire and most of the profit is generated from him, my thing almost fell. Sorry, that may give me a heart attack. If most of the profit's generated from him and he wants to step out of the business, it's going to take him a lot longer to figure out, like, what is it really going to cost me to step out of the business? Is the business still going to be profitable? Because if you're the team, like in my situation for many years, I've been the top producer within our team, which makes the team profit look great. But if I pay myself as if an agent was replacing me, the profitability sucks. And that's how you have to look at your business, Megan. You know, when you were in the retail business, if you were wanting to replace yourself, what's the cost of replacing you? And how many people is it going to take? So if you're not operating your business like that, that business is running your life because you have no way to exit. Does that make sense to anybody? That may not be relative to everybody's situation, but it's something I wish I would have learned more. This is a general template for real estate, but numbers are numbers and business is business. That's why I invited some local small business owners. This is a percentage of what your cost to sale, your expenses, your gross profit, and your net income should ideally look like to be profitable and to run a healthy business. You're more than welcome to take a snapshot of this, but this is essentially the percentage that you should strive for based upon what you want your income goal to be. So this has changed for us. You'll see, like, as an individual agent, if you're striving to grow, you'll see that their profitability, when they're making 150,000, their net income is around 50%. But notice every time it goes up, that net income percentage goes down. And the reason why that is because you're going to die and burn out if you don't leverage and incur more expenses to scale your business. So one thing I do every quarter, once a year, every 6 months, we sit down and say, what's our profitability been for the last quarter? Where, based upon what our goals and our plans looked at the beginning of the year, what are we ready to do to scale to this next level? Because I don't know about you, $150,000 is an amazing amount of money. But if I can make $340,000, which is 2.5 times and increase this essentially net income profit. I shouldn't say profit, net income to me before taxes by what is that? 30, 60,000 some dollars. But this gives me a more peaceful life and it gives me more time back. I'm doing that all day. And I think what most people don't realize is you can live in this bucket over here and be making more money, but you're also leveraging your time. As an individual agent or an individual business owner, I promise you, if you're not staying profitable to the point where you can leverage yourself, you're going to burn yourself out because money has a diminishing value. I lived in this world for quite some time, profiting 40, 50% in this world, and I wanted to die. It didn't feel good. And I learned I got to grow a team. I sold 65 houses the year before I came to KW and started a team. And back in that day, the average price point, just to give you an idea, I was making like $450,000 to $500,000 with zero help. I was working 24/7. I was burning myself out. My husband almost didn't want to marry me. Like I was married to the business because that money in my bank account felt so good. And then I had to pay taxes. And that was like $160,000 I had to come up with while also paying about $75,000 for a wedding, all within 2 to 3 months. And I looked at him and says, I don't care how much money I made. I have never felt worse in my life. In a moment in time, like I needed to feel good. It was my wedding. I shouldn't be stressed about my $150,000 tax bill, my $75,000 wedding that's not tax deductible in any form. There's no ROI in that wedding. Maybe there is. My husband's been a good ROI for me. I shouldn't say that, but not everybody's husband is. But you have to ask yourself, what is my time worth? What is my sanity worth? And I don't care who you are, money loses value. Your time is so much more important. Me, now I'm living in the world of about here. I'm okay making 25 to 30% on a big number because it gives me time to pour back into other people. I could probably do all the production my team does with a few assistants. I don't want to. And you have to ask yourself that. What is it you want to do? How do you align? How do you grow business? I know a lot of you are small business owners, and like one of the best things you do is hire people and pour into their lives. There's something so beautiful about doing that. That's why I say time and time again, money has diminishing value. Robert said, what do you consider a cost of sale versus expenses? So cost of sale does not happen until the sale occurs. So in the real estate realm, that is your split to your brokerage, your E&O insurance, your referrals. Your expenses are what it takes, your operating expenses are what it takes to run the business. What are the expenses you have, regardless of if you make a sale or not? So I would love everybody to scan this. It's going to take you to the profit and loss statement that I'm about to review with each of you. It's probably going to ask you essentially to download it. I may not approve it right now, but I'm going to let you download it, but just have it. We're going to review it. Robert says, is lead gen cost of sale or an expense? It's an expense. So an expense is really the things that you do to support your business, if that makes sense. Cost of sale is only what you're paying. I don't know where you're at, EXP or KW and or your errors and omission insurance. The cost of sale only happens when the sale occurs. Have tos versus once. Before I dive into that, let me pull up this. Let me minimize this. Go back. Where'd my little Google Chrome go? Let me stop sharing and try to find this really quick. Does anybody have any questions while I find this that I can answer for you?
It looked like it was in the top left of your desktop.
I know.
Like,
There it is.
I was like, oh,
Help me, Megan. I gotta log back into my Canva. I mustn't have closed it out accidentally. Oh, I'm going back into the wrong thing now. What am I doing? You know, when you're like looking for something, but you can't find something? Google Drive. budget. Where's my new budget thing? Where's my recents at? I can't even remember what I. Profit and loss worksheet. Okay. So this is what you're going to make a copy of. I know you guys can't even see my screen because I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on. Okay. You can see my P&L now. So up here, gross commission income for real estate, this is essentially going to be your listing income, your sales income, your referral income. Right here is where you see what a cost of sale is. This is going to be company dollars. So the amount of money that you pay, whatever brokerage you work in, your royalties, and any referrals paid out. So essentially, if you are a small business, your gross commission income is whatever profit you bring in up here. You could obviously categorize this by clothing, jewelry, accessories, whatever that looks like in your business. And then the cost of sale to you is, I mean, maybe inventory's cost of sale. Yes. I'm trying to thinking my husband's P&L. The cost of acquiring it in inventory is your cost of sale. And then taking your total income minus your total cost of sale gives you a gross profit. And from there, you take into consideration all of your expenses. Salary, here's the lead gen, office rent, technology, cell phone, supplies, education, marketing, auto insurance, professional services. I'm going to tell you, I buy every computer through my business. My cell phone is bought through my business. My cell phone is paid through my business. My car is in my LLC name. I pay my car payment through the business. I pay my car insurance through the business. You should try to run as much as you can through your business. If you're not, you're crazy. And I hate to say that ugly, but I mean, you are crazy to not run as much as you can through your business. It's legitimate. Your content creation. And the one way I looked at it when I was new, starting out, trying to figure it out, and Steven maybe understood it a little bit better than I. He just came from an entrepreneur background. Your expenses help you, A, grow your business. If they're the right expenses, they're going to give you a high ROI, which you need to track. But mostly, if it costs you, and this is how I look at it, and some people may say this is wrong, if I'm in a 40% tax bracket and it costs me $1,000 a month in content creation, it's really only costing me $500 a month in content creation or $600 a month in content creation because I'm actually lowering my taxable income. So as a business owner, you need to make the right decisions that pay you back. And as you monitor and grow your business, you need to be asking, like, where did you come from? Did you come from my YouTube? Did you come from Facebook? Did you come from Instagram? Because that will tell you what to pour more money into. Because if it costs you $1,000 a month to create content and you get 5 clients from it, your ROI is like 500% on that one expense. There's people that buy leads. You can buy leads in any business. You can do Google paid ads. Buying leads is not a bad thing. But the ROI on buying leads and based upon certain lead sources can be very minimal, where you could be taking that money and doing something else with it and making much more money. And you just have to ask yourself those questions, where's the return coming from? And that's what like looking at your P&L does. We'll look back. Let's say we're at the end of the third quarter. We're going to look back here soon and say, like, what did we spend money on these past 3 months? And what does our business look like? How did it increase? Because even though people may not be saying this is where I saw you or this is where I, found you, there's a correlation. If we've spent more money over here and our business has doubled, there's a correlation between that. And that's what we have to pay attention to. So instead of saying no, I'm going to say yes. And no, as a business owner, you're not going to spend money this month and it come back next. We've done some marketing stuff that we haven't done in a while, third quarter. It may be first quarter next year that we start to see a return. And that's okay. I'm trying to think of other things. Does anybody have any questions about expenses? or what expenses you should be taking and not taking. Whenever you hire an accountant, you know, I pay my accountant $220 a month just to do my bookkeeping. That's for all my businesses, not just for my business, but like my husband's businesses. We have 4 LLCs that he does on a monthly basis. I pay him $220 for all 4 LLCs. That's like $110 to me. My time is worth more than $110 to do all this for every business. He gets a P&L to me on the 15th of every single month for every business. I wouldn't do it. I'm not disciplined enough to do it. I'm going to bang my head off the wall. It's not my thing. But I'll pay somebody else to do something like that for me. But even though it's $220, to me, it's like $110 because I'm looking at what does my after-tax money look like? And if I'm paying and leveraging, does everybody understand that? One other thing that's huge, if you're a business owner, and a lot of people may not agree with this, but you should be, if you can afford it, and this is what my accountant says all the time, if you can afford it, do it. You should be buying a nice car at least every 2 years, every year almost, and running it through your business and doing accelerated depreciation. The cars I buy, and luckily cars have held value pretty good, but the cars I buy usually, even though I pay for them monthly or I pay for them in all cash, I accelerate depreciate them and they pay for themselves. This is something nobody taught me. I figured it out. I talked to other people that were super successful and say, why do you get a new car all the time? They get a new car all the time because they run it through their business. So if you buy, let's just use easy numbers, you buy $100,000 car, you can accelerate depreciate that $100,000 within 1 year, and that the percentage changes every single year, but like 40 to 45%, you can accelerate depreciate. So that's like a $40,000 to $45,000 tax credit you can make. So if you even make payments, and let's say your payment was $2,000, $3,000 a month on that car, that's $36,000 in a payment, but you took a $45,000 tax. So you've actually made $12,000 and kept that car for free for a year. Does that blow anybody's mind? And that's why but it has to be a full-size vehicle. There's some not big hoops to jump through, but it's why we get new cars all the time. We cost ourselves money. You just pay that money to the government if you don't do stuff like that. And that's the stuff nobody teaches you about what expenses pay you back. That is an expense that will pay you back as long as you're buying the right car, as long as you're keeping up with it. It's not massively depreciating. It's worth it. So I like drive a nice car for free, essentially is how I look at it. And that's in the next wealth building class, we're going to talk about more stuff like that, like tax saving tips, how to spend your money, what to do with your money, how to let your money work for you. But this is step 1. Because if you want to grow wealth, you have to have excess money to grow wealth with. You can't be living paycheck to paycheck and grow wealth. You have to be responsible with the money that you're making and not just spending it all. I tell every single girl on my real estate team, you're going to start making money. You need to keep living the life you were living, homegirl. One of the girls on my team the other day was asking me, how did you get ahead? And I said, when Stephen and I's income started growing significantly, we still kept living like we were broke. We didn't go out and buy luxury items. We didn't go out and buy new cars until we had all of our debts paid off. The biggest problem I see with wealth building is you get a little taste of that money and you want to go reward yourself because you've been suffering. Girls, I didn't buy clothes until I had my college debt paid off and my credit cards paid off. And I was in a position that I had my tax money. I could almost pay cash for a car. And if I didn't make another sale, I was good for about a year. And then I started buying, like, is Forever 21 still a thing? Yeah, it is, right? Yeah, Forever 21. Clearly, I'm not 21 anymore. But this was when I was like 25 to 28 years old. And like a $10 to $20 shirt was expensive to me at the time. But that's how we lived. I wasn't even, this realm of a P&L was not even in my world. I was just looking at freedom. Get your debts paid off and breathe. And then be responsible. Be a good steward of your money. I know I just went on a wild tangent, but I feel like those are all good little nuggets for you to take away. So we take gross profit, we minus your expenses. That is your business profit. Does everybody understand you're running a business? That is not your money, honey. That's the business's money. If you bleed that business dry, especially in a small business that you need inventory, if you bleed this dry, homegirl, you're out of business. And that's the reality I had to like say to Steven at one point in time. Luckily, the most beautiful thing is in real estate, you don't have to buy your houses to sell them. You don't have hundreds, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars in inventory sitting, declining in value, depreciating, rusting, becoming obsolete. We just have to go pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, do you want to buy or sell a house? We don't have to spend money to find the people. We do, but not like other people do. So don't live out of your business money. Your business money stays in your business. And then, just like I said, this is your business money that stays in your business. If you want to profit 30 to 40%, you keep 30 to 40% in that bank account. And then from there, you put whatever your tax money is. I put 40% in a high yield money market account. And then anything else is essentially your net income. So either paying yourself through payroll, that's part of your net income, and or doing profit distributions after you know you've made a profit. So this is a worksheet that you can plug stuff into. You can plug in whatever percentage you are and then figure out how much you're going to owe in taxes. You can figure out what you want your net income to look like. When I was an individual, I still do it though. I have a monetary business income, net income that I want to make every year, and I reverse engineer this. Is if I want to net $1 million this year, I know that about 400,000 of that's taxes. No, I need to go back up here. I know if I want to net $1 million this year, cost of sales is going to be probably around 300,000. My expenses are going to be about another 300,000. So that leaves me with whatever before that. So I probably need to make 2 point some million dollars to net $1 million because of my expenses and my tax liability. You can do the same thing. If you want to make $100,000 or $200,000, plug it in here and then reverse engineer it. If this bottom number is going to be 200,000, what does this top number need to look like? And do the math. Does that help everybody? Is this overwhelming? If you did this on a monthly or quarterly basis, how would you feel differently? Like, would you be more confident? Would it be easier for you to make decisions? Because I'll tell you, I didn't do this. And then I had that like, holy shit moment. And I'm like, I have got to know what my money looks like at a higher level. And then when I've grown and there was other people I was paying, I needed to make sure I was financially responsible enough to make sure I could afford them. One of my scariest hires, one of my best hires was Mary Carroll. And I said to her, she was ready. She was getting ready. And I said, I got to get myself ready because it's a big income to pay for. And I said, if I hit a certain goal in my bank account, knowing what my tax liability is going to be, if I do that 3 consecutive months in a row and I have enough money to pay for her income and mine and all the expenses for another year to 18 months, I'm going to do it. But having that goal and that project to focus on, I promise you, made me do it. It made me have a parameter to strive for. It made me have a budget to fulfill. And instead of looking at people like 5 more houses, I was saying, I'm 5 more houses away from hiring Mary Carroll. And it made me more motivated because I tied that drive and desire to grow to a person because I knew hiring Mary Carroll would almost double our business, but also give me a lot of free time back and honestly keep to the standard that I expected without draining me and stealing my joy and robbing me of time with my children. But I wouldn't have made that decision well if I didn't have this. When I talk to other business owners and they're flying by the seat of their pants, making big life-changing decisions, and they don't have a P&L, it makes me have heart palpitations. Because you're doing something without really knowing, can you do it? Is it sustainable? And am I going to be able to do it? Is it going to be successful? And there was a point in time in my life, like in my 20s, I flew by the seat of my pants and it worked, but I also didn't have anything to lose. Now, before Steven and I do anything major, I look at what our net worth looks like and I look at what our P&Ls look like and I say, okay, buddy, you need to hire somebody. Or no, we got to cut back and we got to go harder right now and we got to put our heads down. But without knowing that, you don't know that till the end of the year. You may need to put your head down right now and cut expenses and sell something and do something else without you even knowing it. And that's no way to live. You know inside, but are you holding yourself accountable to it? Or vice versa. You know, my husband's business has almost doubled in the last 2 years. And he was running with like 3 people. And I looked at him like, you got to hire people, bro. You're going to burn them out and create an unhealthy culture. Like you got to hire people because you're actually going to go backwards and or not fulfill your client's standards of what they expected when you were doing half the business. And you have to think like that. You're either going to grow your business or put yourself out of business if you don't hire and leverage well, because your level of service is going to go down if you're not leveraged. You possibly can't do everything if you're continuing to double your business. I've lived it. I went from 0 to 15 to 30 to 65 houses. When I was at 65 houses, I was still operating like I was selling 5 houses. You can't do that. It's not possible. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to hate life. Joyce said, Amber, is the cost of sale all things that are required to bring a property to market? No. Cost of sale is only paid when you make a sale. Oh, the only 2 things that cost of sale are is really anything you pay your brokerage in the split and then heirs and omission insurance. Those are the only things that are cost of sale. Everything else is operating expenses. To bring a property to market, that's a marketing expense. That's under expenses. To stage a property, that's a marketing expense. If you're sending out postcards, if you're doing paid ads, if you're doing content, that is a lead generation expense. Do you see the difference? Cost of sale is only what you pay to your brokerage and or what you pay in like heirs and omission insurance. It's the only thing that's an expense when the actual sale. Everything else is a operating expense. Did you want to say something, Fred? You're good.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Go
It's
ahead,
okay.
girl. I'm driving.
And then the last thing I wanted to go over, let me get back up to my. So we went over that. One of the best things I can tell you to do, and I wish I would have done it sooner versus later, is build a team around you when you can afford it. Until you can afford to build a team around you financially, you need to be disciplined in doing this at least once a quarter. But you need to have a bookkeeper that does a P&L for you, either on a monthly or quarterly basis. When you start to grow and set yourself up as an LLC and pay yourself, you need a payroll company. I use ADP. I've used Paychecks. You can, again, do this yourself too. I'm going to bang myself on the head doing payroll taxes. So I pay, I think, like $95 a month for payroll to be done for me. As we've grown, we've also hired a tax strategist, which looks at a full picture and says, this is what you need to do to keep more of your money. This is what you need to do to grow your business. You have too much cash on hand. You need to buy inventory. You need to buy a building. You need to buy a car. He looks at all the things and tells us what to do. And then also a financial advisor that has told us you need to have 30% in cash, 30% in your investments, and 30% in real estate. 33 point whatever, 333. You need to be diversified like that. When we first met with him, we had like 40 to 50% in real estate, and we've been obediently working on getting more. We have a decent amount in our retirement accounts, but we've been working on being diligent on like pouring into our retirement accounts more because we're in our 40s now. And Retirement's not that far away. So those are my 4 recommendations to build a team around you to help you do all that. Whenever I do the more wealth building class, I'm going to bring on some of those people to that class that can speak on things a little bit at higher level just to help you understand it. I try to dumb stuff down because they even talk to me after I've been doing it for a few years now. And there's still sometimes that I'm like, how does say that again? And how does that help me? So I do want to bring them on, but I also want to keep it so simple that you do understand it. Because the worst thing ever to me is being advised to do something that I don't understand the why behind it. I want to know why. Why do I need to buy a new car every year? Why do I need to go spend money on this? Why do I need to buy new furniture? Why do I not need to? Like I want somebody to tell me you need to do this or don't do this. And the team we've built around us works together too, and even talks from one to the other and has helped us create and make better decisions. Here's all of my information. If you want to reach out to me, if you have a P&L or want me to look at your P&L, I am more than happy to. Mary Carol loves to do this sort of thing too. She loves to look at P&L statements and say, I can look at a P&L statement and say right away, like, you're cash heavy, you're very, very profitable, but you're going to burn yourself out and actually end up going backwards. Or I can look at your P&L and say, like, homegirl, you don't need to be buying this. You don't have tax money saved. You need to make better decisions because you're going to put yourself out of business or just live financially struggling. We were talking, we did a team Bible study this morning. And one of the things we were talking about is how so many people can get jealous when you become successful. But what they're really jealous of is what the money does. But I've seen it both ways. I've seen people make a lot of money and be foolish with it. And then I've seen a lot of people make a lot of money and be good stewards of it. And the ones that are good stewards of it, the ones that are focusing on their financial health, their personal health, and their spiritual health, they have a sense of peace. They have a sense of being. That's really what most people are jealous of. They don't really care about the fancy stuff. It's that person operates in a place of peace because they've gotten to a place of just being obedient to achieve that peace. I promise you, my hardest financial times, I'll never ever forget. It's what keeps me going. But I also know that like the money doesn't make me happy. It's the peace that money brings me when I use the money well and I'm a good steward of it that makes me happy, that brings me the peace. I don't look at my money and say, go spend it and do the things. I put my money in all the places. And then I say, is this going to give me a return to my life in some capacity? My husband grew up struggling too. And at first I didn't understand anything. He's so brilliant because he will never buy anything that doesn't hold value or that he couldn't quickly sell and get his money back. Everything he buys, we were just talking about it last night. For anybody that knows my husband, knows he's a big guy, and he wore this like Superman necklace that was made out of sterling silver on Manny's neck last night, and it looks huge on Manny because I mean it fits Steven, and he looked like Mr. T walking around with this thing. But he's like, I bought that thing for $200 when I was like 17 years old, and I thought like, I'm doing it, right? And he made me get out our food scale last night and weigh it. And then I looked at like how much it's worth now, and it's worth like $750, but he thought it was going to be worth like $7,000. But I said, still, you bought that when you were 17 or 18 years old and it's went up in value. He never buys anything unless it holds or goes up in value. And when you look at your business or just your life spending, if you're diligent about only spending money on things that hold value or go up in value, your money works for you. And that's a level of income that you're going to start working through. We had our quarterly call with our financial guy earlier this week. And this is the first year we moved our money into like a high yield money market account. And our money made us 6 figures just sitting there. And I'm like, why didn't somebody tell me to do this earlier? Like we've been stupid putting it in the bank account because it feels good. And I told my husband, I'll snapshot that money market account to you every day and make you feel good. Like it wasn't feeling good to him because it was no longer in his bank account. It was sitting in a money market account that he wasn't readily able to log into. Y'all, I want to help every single one of you to run your business with more confidence and grow wealth. Grow wealth that like does good in the community, does good for your family, that when somebody asks you for $1,000 for something, you have it. You have it to give. But I promise you, it starts right here. It starts right here in your P&L. It starts right here in you being responsible and you being aware and you being obedient of how much money are you making, what are your expenses, and how much money are you really profiting after taxes. This is what matters. This is where you start foundationally growing generational wealth. It can be as simple as saying, I'm running my business off 30% profit and only keep 30% in your bank account. Just like I did. I tried to make this be relative to somebody new that doesn't even have the capability, mindset, time, or financially the capability to hire somebody to do a P&L. Just do 30% in your business account, 30 to 40% in your tax account, everything else to you personally that you live off of. There are so many people living off of 100% of your business income right now. And you have no money for taxes and you're living paycheck to paycheck. I hate seeing that. And somebody said, well, what did you do when you made less money? I still live like this. It's just a percentage, y'all. If your expenses are 70% of your income, you're never going to get ahead. You have got to be obedient in your spending. One takeaway we said, and we're getting ready to do this in our business, I'm going to do it in my personal life too. How many reoccurring apps or tools are we paying for that we're not using that could add up to hundreds or thousands of dollars a month in wasted money? I'd rather give that money to my church or my community or pour it back into my business. Like, this is what being financially responsible looks like. And I just am a huge believer when you're a good steward of your money and you're financially responsible, God continues to bless you, because to whom much is given, much is to be expected. If he's blessing you with a lot of money, you need to take care of it. You don't need to live high on the hog and just continue to increase your life. We did not buy one luxury thing until we had debts paid off. The first thing I see people do is go buy the luxury fancy stuff. Pay off your debt. Pay off your house, pay off your car, pay off your college tuition, do all of that. Because what you don't realize, and my husband is like on me to pay off a huge expense, and I'm like, yes, sir, we're going to do it because it's worked for you. The amount of money that you're paying banks and interest is sickening. Whether you're carrying credit cards, I mean, let's talk real estate. 7% on a $300,000 house is like you're buying a $600,000 house. Even we try to, if we're financing something that large, house, commercial business, we try to pay it off in 3 to 5 years and pay minimal interest. You're paying yourself back millions of dollars if you live like that. Yes, I sure will share that. Do you see where I'm going with all this? I wanted this to be like tactful, but also the reality of you're costing yourself so much money by not being obedient with your money. And when I started thinking like my husband and thinking like we're paying this off because we've saved ourselves $300,000 in interest, I said that $300,000 is either our kids' college tuition, money back in our business to grow our business, a beach house, our retirement money. The bank doesn't deserve that money. They're not working hard for it, but you're just giving it to them like, here you go. Where if you just stayed disciplined and stayed living at the level you were living at when you were making half of what you are now, you would be able to do things like that. I'm a huge believer. I tell everybody in my real estate world, if you can afford a 15-year loan, you need to do a 15-year loan and then pay it off quick. I used to be a Dave Ramsey agent. Follow the Dave Ramsey way of living to a certain capacity. Don't allow it to make you have a small mindset on money. Because if God brings you the dream, he'll bring you the funds to do it. But it is so good to pay stuff off and have, you attract, when you're walking with confidence about money, you attract good things.
Yep.
Because when you're broke and when you're struggling and when you have commission breath, people feel it. And you actually deter good stuff from coming in your life. And I had to learn that the hard way. Anything else anybody needs? I would love anybody to come off mute or type in the chat, like what's one thing you took away that you're going to go and implement, or just gratitude, whatever you want to share. I just love to hear from people. I don't love to just talk. Any ahas?
I think the biggest thing for me is like getting an accountant because the I've done all the other stuff because we talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
And but I tried to get that one tax accountant that we talked about, but it
Yeah.
never panned out, and I just fell behind on that. So I think that's one of my biggest things I'm going to try to do. And then like the card depreciation, that's really going to help for me this year because I started implementing that last year.
Yep.
And then I have so many here. Just that spreadsheet, I had what we kind of did before, but I didn't reverse it. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not really flying by the seat of my pants, but I have it just sitting there. And my friend just asked me about high yield and she's like, oh yeah, you got to put your stuff in high yield. And then I haven't even done it like a goober. So I got
Yeah.
to do that.
Doing's half the battle, and it gives me anxiety when I know what to do, but I don't do it. Like, do it. Just knock it out. Like today, I got to do sales tax. I got to pay quarterly taxes. I should have done this 3 days ago, but today, when I get off this call, I'm doing it. Like, you got to do it. You're never avoiding the tax man. Even when you die, I still had to pay my dad's taxes. After he died, and I was like, so you can still got to have taxes when you're dead. This is horrible. Like, it never goes away. You got to do it. You got to be responsible. You got to have the money set aside. It's just, it's life, y'all. One of the things when I was doing my content creation, it said, the IRS is always your business partner. I'm like, isn't that the truth? That is the truth. They always take their little cut of the profit. Most definitely. Well, I appreciate all of you. Go out and just be more, I hope if you even just do one thing, just set yourself up mindset wise for like success and become more financially responsible. I'll have this recorded. It'll live in the page. You will be able to go back there because as you progress, there's going to be stuff I said today that will relate to you more then than it does now. And I want you to be able to go to a place and be able to hear it. As I've grown, there was stuff I didn't understand, but as I went back and read things, I'm like, that's what they were talking about. This is what I needed to do at this phase of my life. So go back and rewatch this in another 6 months to a year. There may be something that jumps out to you that didn't resonate with you now. So it will be in our little private group. But love all of you. Thank you. Thank you, Hazel. You're so, so welcome. I appreciate all of you. Go out and spend your money wisely and be more profitable. Toodaloo. Love you, Donna.